Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to get back on the RM250 a little bit. We're just going to do some small projects. Doesn't matter whether they're large or small, they got to be done, right? So we'll probably take care of a couple of them here. So let me get you down here to the lathe. I'm set up to put a heli-coil in. Okay, we've got this screw, this dog point screw is stripped out, and I think I told you about that in the first video. So we're going to try to fix that, and then we'll eventually have a welding job on this, but I'm waiting on a piece of stainless steel to come in. I've got it mounted here just to kind of hold on to it, and that way maybe I can stay kind of straight. I'm doing it manually. All right, we're through. I think you can see it there. Just drilled out what was left of the old threads. Now we'll get ready to tap it. All right, try to stay straight as we can here. And be sure to back that up occasionally to clear the threads. Okay. And we get our insert here. Okay, looks good. Yep, I just got to knock the tang off and we'll be done. So I'm not sure you can see it, but there's the tang that I used to drive it in with is sticking out there. So we've got to knock that off in order to get the dog point through there. So let me get the little special punch they gave you. All it is just basically the right size. Goes up in there and you just give it a little whack. And now it's gone. And I'll just take a regular size bolt there. And that goes in fine. And there's our dog point. It gets a little washer, I think. Yeah, it's a washer. And it goes right there. And that's going to go down inside and stick in just to hold in this shaft. I think you can see it sticking out there right now, and that's going to go in this groove right here, and that just keeps this from pulling out. That's all it does. And I've got to clean out the tang I broke off in there, and I need to clean this whole case, and then we'll eventually weld it. I've got a piece of stainless steel ordered. I thought I had some, but this is going to take about 1.25 inches, and we'll turn it down just to go into this groove and then try to build this up over here, and that way we shouldn't have any going into this area. And hopefully, I've done this in the past, and as long as you put stainless steel in there, the welding rod doesn't stick to it, so you can just pop that out. So it should be a good fit for the seal. Okay guys, we're back over here at the frame. I've been doing some mocking up. I need to get the brake pedal kind of worked out, and I've got to have the pegs on there, or at least this side, to do that. So I've been kind of mocking this up, and there's one thing here on this peg. You can see right here that the stop is broken off on this one. Here's what it should look like. So I've got a piece of material cut, so I'll be putting that on, but I really don't need that too much for what I'm doing here. I just need this location. And I did pick up a brake pedal, but this is, who knows what this is off of. It looks right according to this piece here, but I have a feeling this is probably a 125, and people have, so you can see here, they've cut on it, and so they were probably trying to do the same thing I'm trying to do. So it looks like they've moved this piece, which goes on the cable, and they've moved this piece, which is your stop that has a screw in it that goes right here. So somehow or another we've got to get, there's a bracket that goes there, and here's that on this. I've never seen one in the wild. I see pedals for $200, $300, but I don't see this piece. So a pedal really isn't going to do you a whole lot of good without that. And I've just been going by like a picture here, and this isn't very good, but I can see kind of how it goes. I can see the orientation of the cable, the stop, and actually this stop looks a little different. So I'm not real sure. See, this one goes in at the top, and you probably can't see it, but you can see a witness mark from the bolt hitting right here. And this one actually looks like it goes in at the bottom. So it's a little bit different, and it goes on the side here. Maybe this thing used to be out here, I don't know. But it looks like that it used to be here on this frame anyway. So that's where I'm going to try to put it. So I've just got this tacked on, you know, these two brackets that were broken off. So I guess the first thing I need to do is try to get a piece of cardboard and kind of figure out what I need. And I kind of, looks like I kind of need this. But I believe this piece and this piece are going to have to go back up. You can see right here where they cut it off. That's probably where it needs to go. That way it'll be more in line with my brake cable here. That of course is in line with it, but it's too far back. You're not going to get enough pull. It needs to be further up here so that you get more pull on the cable. So I need to work on that so I can kind of see that I got 2 bolt holes here for it, and where the pivot actually is, it's got to be somewhere over in here. So let me see what I can get drawn out here. Who knows what, you know, if you got one, you got one, but in this case I don't, so let's see. Looks like we probably just need to come down and maybe bump out a little bit. That's what the picture shows anyway. So something similar to this, and then we'll have looks like a tube or a piece of pipe here that comes up and it's welded into it for this here to rotate in. So that's where we're going next. Let me, I've got a piece of 3/16 plate. I think that's what we'll use. And some DOM tubing probably. So let me kind of take inventory of what I got here and try to get something mocked up. Okay, I did get a spring with this, and you can see the witness mark here on the bottom where this located, and this one here evidently has got to go into this bracket that we're going to make here. So once we get the tubing located, then apparently it'll have a hole that it goes into on that plate. These are the RM pegs, and like I say, this one has got it broke off. This is and I got springs for that. I did notice these are kind of worn out. I'm probably going to have to rebuild these, get the holes back in the right place. And in doing what I did, I was just following the lead on the other side. I made the holes the same size as these were over here, and apparently they've been drilled out over the years. So I think it's going to be okay, but I don't know. I don't really want to make new brackets again, but because then I'd have to make them for this side. So what I may do is weld these up and re-drill them to a 5/16. This is a 5/16 bolts, and I think I drilled these to 3/8, and that's what I was seeing on the other side here. So not real sure what I'm going to do there yet. Yeah, I may just try to drill weld these up a little bit around the edge, re-drill them, and see how that works. So let me find some material and I'll get started on this bracket. Have a little chunk of DOM tubing here. We're trying to get that down to our length, and I've got the bracket cut out. So we'll take it over there in a minute when I get this faced off and see what it looks like. Okay, I've had to kind of step back and change something already. My plan was to flush weld this onto this bracket, but when I got to looking at it, it's got to be long enough. See, they had drilled a hole in this brake pedal here, but originally it had a snap ring on it right here. So the tubing, the area, has got to be long enough to get a snap ring back on it. So I'm kind of changing up my plans here, and I'm actually going to cut this out and weld a piece in there long enough and just situate it where I need it. But that way I'll be able to get the snap ring on the end there. So let me get set up and we'll see if we can get this cut. Now I absolutely have no idea where the position is or anything. I may have to remake this bracket many times. But you know, we've got to have a starting point, and you've just got to assemble things and then see if they work, and that's kind of where I'm at right here. Oh, let me slow that down a bit. This is kind of sketchy the way I've got this in there too, but just try to do it slow and I'm going to have to regroup here a little bit. Just take it slow. This should be, this cutter is 3/4. The OD of the tubing I'm using is 3/4, so it just should snuggle right in there, and we weld a half moon area on both sides. But we've got to get it located properly first. Okay, we should be able to just trim this off, this area out here with the bandsaw. Okay, I guess we really don't even have to cut that off. We can slide it to where we need it, and then, because it's a perfect fit. So what we need to do is the hole's not quite the right size, so I've got to drill it and then use a boring bar to finish it up. But we can go ahead and get the proper length of the tubing, and that's actually, yeah, it's just the tubing. Should not be a player in it at all now. So what I want to be able to do is get the snap ring and a washer on there. So that should do it right there. I'll cut that at 1075. I'll cut it a little longer than that, and then I'll face both ends so everything will be smooth. And then we'll go ahead and drill it and finish boring it. So I've got this cut, and we'll just face both ends, and then we'll start our drilling and boring. You can see on this side, this is where I bored the other piece that my first project. So our pin on the is at about 462, and I think closest I can get is about 451. Let me look again. I think that's it though. Yeah, so 29/64, so we'll have to bore about 10 thousandths. Not too bad. Make sure we're tight here, and we'll start our drill. All right, should be semi-close to straight on. And a little boring bar here. Okay, that's kind of what we want. All right, let's see here. Get our bracket. Well, when all you're doing is going by a picture, it's kind of tough. You miss all that three-dimensional stuff that you would get if you were looking at it. Okay, so that's going to go in here, and it can go anywhere we want it to go when we weld it up. That makes it easy, actually. So I can push this down to get my proper orientation for my stop. Yeah, and we'll still have room for all the for our clip and everything on the back. And it just makes it a lot easier being able to slide that in and out. I think right about there is where it's going to go. Oh, wait a minute, that has got to go, the tube has got to move up and down, not the, I probably should get a clip on that. That way I'll avoid being off, but I think I'm going to have to get this. This is going to have to be moved up, and this is going to have to be moved up, because you've got a bolt that goes in there, and with a nut under it, I believe. Where is that? No, the jam nut goes on top, so the bolt head or the bolt threaded area comes down onto that. Let me see if I can get a bolt. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, I've got a snap ring on it now to hold it all together so I don't end up getting that in the wrong place. And I've got our stop bolt on there. I'm not sure. Probably a lot of this is going to have to be figured out when we get everything situated here, because see, it doesn't, the paddle, see, your foot is way up here, so it doesn't have to go very far, but I still think this is going to have to be moved, because when we get our cable in here, this has got to be kind of in line here too, because it's not going to have to move very far. That looks like it'll clear our mounting bolts, and this ear here is, I think, needs to be cut off and turned around. So you've got this offset here. And when you look at the brake cable, when you get this situated where I think it ought to go, the cable is kind of going downhill here. So I think this needs to be turned around so it's up here more like this. So I think what I'll do first is I'll go ahead and cut this off, and that way we can play with the positioning of it. Okay, since this foot peg is part of the equation here, I'm going to go ahead and tack this little thing that broke off, or at least a new one on there. I didn't have the original one, so we'll get that on. That helps put the foot peg in the right place. I'll just tack it on one place for now, and just in case it needs to be somewhere else. There's a lot of wear in these foot pegs, so we'll do it this way. Okay, I've got the limit screw right here, and I've got it placed where the witness mark was, and we're clear of the bolts that hold the bracket on, and the brake pedal itself comes down and stops against the foot peg, so it should have enough clearance. That's a lot of it's got a lot of travel at that point. You know, it comes down here. I'm not sure where it's supposed to stop, but that's what stops it. And I'm not seeing any witness mark underneath except right here where the spring goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bungee cord on here and just pull this. I don't know if that's going to stay there. Maybe that will. And that way, looks like it moved a little bit. Oops. So that still clears all this. So I'm going to tack the tube that we made onto the bracket at this point. Just tack it so that you know, I think that's where it's got to go, and then we'll position the brake cable pull, if you will, when we get that done. So we'll get a little grounding action here. Actually, I think I'm going to try to set this up. Yeah, it would be easier for me to weld this way. I think you can see now how all this operates. We've got the limit bolt here. We're clearing these two bolts that mount it on, and we've got our C-clip back here. So I'll just tack this right in here, and if I need to take it out and move it or something, then I can do that. We probably won't weld anything up permanently until we've done all the welding and probably have the engine in so we can try it. I think with that one on, I can get this bungee cord out of the way and get my other one. Okay. Okay, maybe the foot peg is cool enough to play with, so let me do that. Okay, you can kind of see how all this works now. We've got our foot peg in here, and here's where the stop comes down to there. And now I've got the cable back up here, and see, this was turned around like that. So we need it turned back this way and positioned right about in there, I think. I think you can see the relationship of the paddle there with the foot peg. So they're just almost straight on. And I think that's about right. And you're not going to have that much travel. It's going to stop before you get there. So I'm going to tack that on, and I think right about in there is where I want it. And you know, if I need to move it, once I get the you know, the wheel on and get the brakes all hooked up in the back, then I can do so. But I think it needs to go right about there in that orientation. Let me see if I can get my bungee cord to help me out again here. So that puts this more in line with the bracket here. So let me try to get that tacked in. Okay, so we're tacked on here. And I think you can see I'm tacked on back here in our bracket. We're clearing everything. This might need a little tweaking, pulling it out a little bit, but I really probably shouldn't do it because I've got it centered on the witness mark there. So that tells me that this is pretty close to where it needs to be. Like I said, I don't know what this pedal came off of. I'm guessing it's probably a 125. It looks like it's bent differently. The 250 looks like this dog leg comes out further, but I don't know until I get the engine in there and make sure that I'm clearing the side cover. I think it's going to have to come over some, but you know, the price of these things, I got this one for 10 bucks. So I can, and it had already been hacked on, so it's not like I'm the first one. And looks to me like I'm putting it back to where it was. You could see where this was used to be. Like I say, they had turned it around, and this is the way it was originally, I'm just sure of it. And it's right over the place that it was cut off. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty close to the right position. And we get our cable in here. And of course, I don't know how much this needs to be sticking out or whatever, but it should be, this is straight in line with the with the cable mount. So that should be good without causing undue side flex. And like I say, here is the only witness mark I have, and that's where the spring goes under there. So I think we're pretty close. And our foot peg operates about how it's supposed to. Like I say, this is the stop here. And it was, this one was completely gone. The other one I think is worn quite a bit. So if I'd put this in exactly where they had it, the foot peg would have been pulled this way further. I'm trying to get it as close to up and down straight as I can. That gives us the right orientation in relationship to the brake pedal. I'm hoping. Just another look at the positioning and everything. You folks that have one, if it looks similar and if it's not too hard to get to, let me know. But that's what I came up with. See, we had to get this in line, otherwise we'd had undue side stress on that. So I'll finish welding all this stuff after we get things assembled to the point that I know nothing's going to be interfering with anything. Okay, it's kind of what I suspected. I've just got it setting in here. I've actually got it up where it ought to be. I've got punches holding it instead of bolts. But it looks like this needs to be pulled out. You know, the drawing actually showed it bowed out quite a bit. So I think I'm going to try to heat it up and bend it right here and bring it out just that little bit, and then move it back the other way. I don't know whether that's going to make it too short or not. If it does, then we may have to add something, but we're just barely hitting the engine there. Let me get set up. Okay, we're just going to try to heat it up right here where it was already bent. Okay, let that cool back a little bit. Actually, I think we need to come a little bit more. Looks like it. Okay, now we'll let that cool back and we'll come up here and try to put a dog leg in it. Okay, may have to tweak it a little bit more, but I think that's more than enough to clear everything. It's just whether or not it's too short for your foot, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be okay. But that gets everything clear of it. Okay, so that's kind of our setup there. I think that's going to work. Like I say, when I can get my foot on it and feel whether it's maybe too short or something, but I think it's fine. We'll just see. I did notice that when I got the paint off that cover, I thought I just had this to fix. I've got a crack right there, and I've got a hole right there. So I don't know. You know, I guess I'll try to weld it. I've never done the magnesium welding, but it's got to be pretty similar to aluminum. It's just you've got to use the magnesium rod. So I'm going to give it a whirl. If I can't do it, I guess I'll be on the hunt for another case. It's this didn't concern me too much because you've got quite a bit of mass there, but this here is very thin, so the jury is still out whether or not I can get it done. But I think that's going to work. It just needed a little bit of bend in there, and that's the way the picture showed it too. So now I can go ahead and finish probably my weld on the foot peg and get the other one on. And I think I'm going to weld those holes up just a little bit and re-drill them to I've got a 5/16 bolt in them now. I've got the original pins, but I think I'll just use the bolts. That's kind of what I've been doing on most things that go on that way. I'm just not concerned about originality. I'm just trying to get it to function as it's supposed to, and still be an RM. Okay guys, there you have it. I think we made quite a bit of headway on this today, and I'm satisfied with the brake, I think. The only thing that I'm not sure about is this length here. If it needs to be lengthened, we can do that. But I think it's actually going to be okay because it's kind of underneath this actuator a little bit. And so you're just catching it with your the inside part of your foot there. And I think that's the way they were. If anybody's got anything that shows different, you know, if they can look at theirs or whatever and let me know if maybe it needs to come out further, or if you think it's longer, whatever. You know, I'm doing what I can do with what I've got, and I don't have a lot of information. And my memory from 1979, actually, well, I sold the bike about 15 years ago. But there again, the 400 is different. The 79s are almost on their own, maybe 79 and 80 together. But, you know, they're just different than this one here was in a lot of ways. So my memory's not that good, and it's been a long time ago. So if anybody can help me out, please do. Hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.